Welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Badge with the Girl Scouts of Northern Indiana-Michiana. My name is Coral and I am coming to you from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So today I will be going through the 5 steps for the Outdoor Adventure Badge for Brownies. So this is what the badge looks like. And the 5 steps include 1. Play outdoors in a new way. 2. Explore nature. 3. Buddy up and play outdoor games. 4. Learn a new camp skill. And 5. Care for the outdoors. Let's get started. Step number 1 is to play outdoors in a new way. I knew I was going to Abachi State Park to explore nature for this badge, so I thought I would select option number 1, which is to try an outdoor challenge. And my challenge would be to climb the fire tower. But when we arrived at the park, I found out that the tower was closed for health and COVID-19 reasons. Here's a picture of how tall the tower is, and I hope next time that I can actually climb this tower. So step number 1, like I said, is to play outdoors in a new way. So I chose to explore the night sky. For this option, I knew I'd have to go somewhere else because I live in the city and there's a lot of light pollution. Light pollution is where the city has a lot of lights, and so it just kind of pollutes and takes over the sky and you can't see as much. So I decided to go to Eagle Marsh, and this is a great place to go because there's not a lot of lights. There are a lot of cars that pass by, but that's okay. So during this time, I decided just to stop and listen to what noises I could hear and also what animals I might be able to see. I also used my parents' front yard because they live out in the country, and I was able to see some stars and some satellites. So I tried my best to get pictures and videos of those things, but those are a little bit harder. So during this activity, if you choose to look up at the night sky, I encourage you just to look up and look for the Big Dipper and look for Orion, and just see what all you can see. So one of the steps for your badge is to come out at night and just look around. I know it's not quite nighttime, but the sun is setting. As you can see, the clouds are coming in nice and clear, and we're just going to observe tonight. Can you see the star up in the sky? Step number 2 is to explore nature. For this step, I chose the option of going for a nature walk or hike. I went to Abachi State Park for a hike and to explore nature. Along the hike, I found many animals and plants that I will identify for you. Can you tell me which animal or plant is your favorite that I found? Also, have you seen all the plants that I have identified?
You see him? So right here we have a little salamander. He was just hiding underneath the log, but that's pretty cool. Okay, good stop.
As a friendly reminder, if possible at all before touching a salamander, make sure that your hands are wet to protect them. Salamanders have a coating on them, and it just helps to kind of protect that skin and coating if your hands are wet.
Look at the creature right behind me. It's a bison.
So I just showed you Solomon seal. There is true Solomon seal and there is false Solomon seal. So the one that I showed you is true Solomon seal. The reason for this is that the berries are hanging underneath the leaves. And if it were false Solomon seal, the berries would be at the end of the leaves. So just a fun fact, so now you know. Along my walk, I found this bird's nest and I took a picture of it, not knowing what I'd find, and found out something really interesting. So when you see the picture here in a few seconds, take a guess. What do you think happened? And do you know what eggs are in the nest? So it's pretty interesting. I've never seen a nest with two types of bird eggs inside of them. Not really sure what had happened, but I know there are robin eggs and sparrow eggs. So it'll be interesting to watch them this spring. They're at my parents' house to see what type of birds are there and if the mother sparrow comes back or the mother robin. Okay, friends, so I'm just going to walk you through step number 3, which is buddy up and play an outdoor game. So you have a few options that you can choose from. So select the best one that you think sounds the most fun. So the steps could include, you could play capture the flag with your family, or you could play a nighttime game, which could be going for a nighttime scavenger hunt, or you could play the game of flashlight tag. And the third option is to play a water game. So enjoy. Step number 4 is to learn a new camping skill. And so today I wanted to teach you a little bit about campfires and how to build them, and the different parts of them. So the first thing I want to talk about is the 3 items that you need for your campfire. So does anybody know what I might be talking about? I'm not necessarily talking about the different types of wood yet, but the different items that make a campfire. So write in the comments, take a guess. It's okay if you're wrong, it's all good. So I have a little poster board here, and the 3 parts are in a triangle, and it's heat, oxygen, and fuel. So what that means is that you need heat, a heat source, and that can come from flint and steel, it could come from matches, or it could come from a lighter. So those are the different types of heat sources. Then you will need fuel, and the fuel is where the different types of wood come in. So the 3 different types of wood are tinder, kindling, and chopped wood. So what they kind of look like, tinder, whenever I think of that, I always think of something teeny tiny. So I really like pine needles, but I don't live anywhere where there are pine trees. But my parents do live in the woods, and so I found little branches. Can you see how tiny these are? So they're teeny tiny, and they're what you first put in the fire, because these things are going to be easier to catch on fire. So I always think of like a baby. They don't go straight from being born and then eating like adult food, do they? No, they have milk, and then they have baby food, and then they start to branch into adult food. So this is tender, teeny, tiny. Can you see how tiny it is? Good. Then the next one is called kindling. And kindling can be a little bit thicker. So we have our tender here and then our kindling. And then it can even be a little bit thicker. And then it can even be like this size. So this is our kindling. So first we put down our tinder and then we put down our kindling. And then we have our chopped wood. So chopped wood could look like this and be a half a circle. And then it could also be a big old log like this. Okay. So the fire also needs oxygen so that it can breathe and then produce the fire as well. And different ways that it can get oxygen is you can blow into it and just produce that oxygen sense, or you could also use something to fan the fire. You want to be gentle, just like starting with the tinder. We start small, and then as the flame grows, then you get bigger and bigger. So those are the 3 different parts of a fire. So we talked about tinder, kindling, and then chopped wood. Now we're going to talk about the 3 different structures of a fire. So the first one is called a lean-to. If you can see it right there, that picture. So what it is you take your log, so like this, and then you simply lean your tinder onto it. And then you have your fire. And then your tinder there, and then you can also start to lean your kindling, onto that as well. So that's called a lean-to. Then the other kind is called a teepee. If you are making hot dogs, teepees are really good because it just kind of brings up the fire a little bit more. But a teepee is where you take your logs and you frame them like this, just sitting up. And then underneath is where you put all your tinder down and all your kindling as well. And then the last one is the log cabin right there. So, log cabin. And the log cabin, you can start with your chopped logs just like this, or you can find a little bit thicker of kindling, and you can put those sticks down and make a log cabin like you would do with Lincoln logs, and build it from there. So those are the different types of structures for a campfire. Step number 5 is to care for the outdoors. I went with the choice of care for animals. During the spring and the summer, I enjoy watching birds and butterflies. Therefore, I really couldn't pick just one feeder to make. So today I'm going to show you how to make a butterfly feeder as well as a bird feeder. Hi friends, so step number 5 is to care for our environment. And so one way that I thought would be really fun for us to do this is by making bird feeders. This is my first time ever trying this kind, so we'll see how it goes. But it is a nut-free option, so there's no peanut butter involved. So let's look at the ingredients. So you'll need some flour. You'll need some bird seed. It asks for corn syrup, but in the world that we're in today, I could not find corn syrup. I went to 3 different stores and could not. So I actually looked online at alternatives, and one of them was honey. So we're going to try it with honey and see how it goes. It calls for gelatin, unflavored, and of course the stores were out of unflavored, so we're going to try it with a little bit of flavor, but I think it should be okay. And then it calls for warm water. So let's get started. So the first thing it says is to mix the dry ingredients together in a bowl. So that's going to be the flour, which is 3/4 cup of flour. So I have a 1 cup and I'm just going to fill it up 3/4 of the way full. So just like that, and I'm pouring it into my wonderful bowl. And then it calls for 4 cups of bird seed, 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, and 4 cups. And then it asks for half an ounce of gelatin. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this because mine was not that amount. So that looks beautiful. And then we're going to whisk this together. Okay, so there it is, all mixed on together. Just a little big piece there. Then it says to mix the wet ingredients. So that's warm water and the honey. So we need a 1/2 cup of warm water. So I have my 1/2 cup. Very good. And 3 tablespoons most of my honey has solidified, so let's use the brand new one. Have you guys ever made bird feeders before? I know people have made like the bird feeders out of milk jugs. That's always fun. I was trying to think of something that would be safe enough for the environment, so the only thing that would be left from this would be the string, and that will decompose, maybe not as quickly as we would hope it would, but it will decompose and it's safe for the environment. So there's that. So now I'm just going to mix these. And then it says to stir it in to the dry. It's gonna get sticky, but it's okay. That's the fun part. So I'm just pouring it all in, scraping it, make sure I get all that delicious honey. Just like that. Put that in the sink. And then stir it up. So it has the red tint because the only gelatin I could find was cherry. I think that'll be okay though. So then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to get a cookie sheet with parchment paper. So so I have that right here. And here it is. And then what it's suggested you do is that you put a little bit of bird seed down, and then you use a cookie cutter to cut out the shapes. But we'll just see how this goes. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. And I think what you want to do with the cookie cutter is you'll spray it down with cooking spray. Does anybody know why I use cooking spray to spray down my cookie cutter? Trying to say that 10 times fast. It's kind of hard. So I've used it so that hopefully the birdseed does not stick. Oh, that's cute. Well done, Coral. Well done. All right, so then I'm just going to continue doing that all the way across until I've used up all my birdseed, and then I will come back and show you what happens. So I have made 6 little treats. They're supposed to look like stars. And then what I did was I took a straw and I just poked a little hole in each of these so that then I can have a hole to use a string and then hang it up from a tree. So another type of way to care for the environment is to make a butterfly feeder. I really think butterflies are really cool with everywhere that they come from and how they will migrate down south into the rainforests. So I wanted to have some food for the butterflies when they come to my yard this summer. So supplies that you will need is you will just need to draw a flower or some sort of design on a piece of paper. This is more of like a little bit thicker of construction paper. Then you will need coloring supplies. So I have some markers. Then you'll also need some regular clear tape, and you'll need some glue. This is the only kind of glue I have, so we're going with blue. You'll also need some cotton balls. This is the closest thing I have to little cotton balls, so it's cotton, it should be good. You'll need a straw or a stick, and then you'll also need water and sugar, and just combine those. Dilute the sugar a little bit there. So the first step is to draw your flower or your design. The next step then is to color it in. So I have colored mine like that. I left the middle empty. I also cut it out after that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your bottle cap and you're going to stick it in the middle, and you're going to use some glue. We're going to see if this type of glue works or if we need something a little bit more sturdy. So this is like how much glue I put down. And then I'm just going to stick it on there, the bottle cap in the middle, and just kind of hold it down for a little bit until it's really secure. So while I hold this down, write in the comments, what are some beautiful colors that you've seen with butterflies? Do you know the names of them? Do you know that also moths could be eating this as well because they are nocturnal? Now, since I said nocturnal, who can tell me what does nocturnal mean? Anybody know? Write down in the comments, what do you think nocturnal means? So nocturnal is when animals are awake during the evening. And if animals are awake during the daytime, does anybody know what that is called? So if animals are awake during the daytime, that is called diurnal. And another term for you is, does anybody know what is called when an animal is awake during the dawn and the dusk? So like a deer that might be out when it's first starting to get warm and light, and then also when the sun is going down. So what that is called crepuscular. So We have diurnal, which is during the daytime. We have nocturnal, which is at nighttime. And we also have crepuscular. So those are just some fun facts. All right, so my bottle cap is now secure. I just kind of held it down in place. Then what the next step to do is just to take your straw or your stick and you're going to tape it on the back. Flip this over. I think another fun animal that really likes water and sugar components would be a hummingbird. I am creating a little garden in my backyard, and I hope to have some hummingbirds come to my backyard this summer. So I actually just bought some flowers that should attract them. So I just really think they're really fascinating birds. And I also like to bird watch. Does anybody else like to bird watch here? Okay, so it's pretty secure. You can see the taper knot. And then there's that. And then the last step that I'll have to do is just take my cotton and dip it in the sugar water. I'm not going to do it right now, just because I'm not going outside quite yet. But I'm just going to dip it in the sugar water. And then I will put it right into my bottle cap. And then I have a butterfly feeder. So I hope you enjoyed.